Joining me in the Room podcast to talk about his next fighting opportunity taking place this Friday night at Combat FC 4 is Jake the Gorilla Pilla in the house. What's up, my man? Long time, bro.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing, man?
Good, man. Ready to get in there and get this fight going.
Yeah, bro. This is be your third time fighting for Combat FC. This is their fourth card. This is your third card in a row for 'em, man. First of all, how'd you get hooked up with Combat FC? Since before this, all your fights were at the Combat Zone. Now you're jumping in there with Joe Cav and Fight Pass, man. How'd you get linked up with them, first of all?
Yeah, so I fought my whole career with Combat Zone. Obviously, I love Cal and those guys. I spent a lot of time over there. I'd say when Combat FC came to do their first event, they talked to me a little bit about being on there. It just kind of didn't work for timing, but they invited me down to come and watch the show. They're like, hey, if you're in the area, swing through, and it's pretty close to me, like hometown wise. It's probably like 15 minutes. So I was like, all right, like what do I get to lose? Tim Cannon was fighting that night. Tim's a teammate. I was like, I'll definitely be over there anyways. So I went down. The venue itself was pretty cool. It was super local, like good energy. Joe Cav and Rick ended up being super, super nice and just like super cool with me that night. And hey, we want you to fight. We want to get you involved. And they've been true to their word ever since. I will say, man, I've been lucky enough to work with a lot of organizations as a coach, as a training partner, as a fighter. And the boys at Combat FC really take care of me. So I definitely appreciate them. I enjoy fighting for them. I think they actually like really care about the guys and the fighters and kind of what's going on rather than just it being like a money thing. To them, they really do put us fighters first. And like for that, I couldn't commend them more. So.
Excellent new promotion out there in New England. So kudos to them for giving you fighters work, man. They're on Fight Pass, bro. That I would imagine that was Combat Zone has their own streaming, but this was the first time you got to reach out to kind of out of the country because Fight Pass is everywhere, man. How special was that to be able to fight in front of a whole new set of eyes?
That was super cool, man. That's like a dream come true. Any fighter who's coming up or is in the game, we always are excited to make our first walk through the UFC or through the PFL or Bellator or on Fight Pass. Those are big milestones. So it's cool. Even now, people, oh, where can I watch a fight? Like being able to be like, oh, UFC Fight Pass. Or, like even showing somebody one of my last fights, like it feels good going on the UFC app to pull up my fight, like that's pretty cool. So it definitely was a big change. I was super excited for it. So I'm loving it, man. I'm going to keep riding it out.
Well, my man, this is the most consistent you've been since you were in your Army career. We had COVID. That kind of put a little halt to you. You made your pro debut in 2019, came back in 2022 fighting for Joe Cav, your third card in a row in like an 8-month span or so. You're fighting every four months, which is pretty consistent compared to fighting in the past. What's been the change here?
I think it's kind of do or die at this point. I've been in the game a long time. We've been talking since I was in Army, and so it's one of those things, man. I've tried to be pretty active my whole career. I've tried to continue to fight and stay active and keep doing the things I want to do, but things come up all the time, man. Opponents pull out, injuries happen, COVID happened, this happens. There's always kind of some reason or some excuse. And so Joe Cav and Rick, they ended up just putting it together to be able to find me a couple guys and, some good matchups and get me in there consistently. And I want to stay inconsistent and I want to keep moving forward. I struggle with a couple of the other matchmakers locally where I don't see them setting up good fights or really having, any good matchmaking or taking care of the right people. And so like when it comes to Joe and Rick, I think that they're pretty honest straight across the board. Even this fight, Friday, the opponent I have now, may not be the caliber opponent that I started with, but it's a fight. I'm going in there. I need to take those steps, and like they're running it the right way. Slow and steady. I'm not trying to jump and skip anybody or or take this quick track and just be in the UFC after 3 or 4 fights. Like I'm just here to fight and grow and build the record and step by step and do it the right way. And I think that they enjoy the fact that I'm trying to do it properly. And so now, if they have 4 or 5 fights a year, I'm trying to be on all of them. I'm trying to stay as active as I can. I'm really trying to push a pace. I love fighting for them. I'd love to fight for like a PFL or an XMMA or an Eagle FC over the next 8 months. But everything they have said to me so far, they have followed through with, above and beyond the normal. They've said things that just conversation wise that they've proven that they never needed to prove, but the fact that they did has gone a long way. And so I'm gonna fight with them as long as I can at this point.
Well, you're definitely doing great things in their cage for them. Your last two fights didn't go over 30 seconds, my man. First round sub finishes. You are very well known for your grappling and your submissions. In your three wins, all different submissions in there. Is that a mindset when you walk in? You know what you can do on the ground. On the ground. Starts off on the feet, but does it disappoint you a little bit that you don't get to show more of your hands in there? The fights usually hit the ground, pretty early in the fight.
I wouldn't say it disappoints me. It's one of those things I honestly think it's kind of one of those cool things about me that people really can't study my footage the same way you can everybody else's. If you're gonna fight me, like realistically on a coach aspect, if you were to coach against me, there are two things that you would coach against: leg kick and takedown, because that's really all you get to see. So I've thrown capoeira kicks that have landed, like I have heavy leg kicks, I have good striking, good movement, but it normally doesn't even get to there. So the way I look at it, man, is I could go in there and try to make a fight last 10 minutes and give somebody else an opportunity to land a lucky punch, or I can get in there and get out of there. At some point in my career, I'm not going to have a choice but to go for 15, 25 minutes. Why do that now? You know what I mean? Like, to me, it makes sense to get in there and get out of there as fast as I can. So if these boys want to keep getting out in the first round, I'm going to let them.
Well, you did speak about this opponent coming in. Another late notice opponent that you are no stranger to, and that going back early in your career, you've had so many fights fall through at no fault of your own. Here we go again. It seemed like you had opponents 2 months back, and now the last 3 weeks or so they finally get you another guy. What do you know about this guy? I know he likes to stand and bang. He's fought for BKFC, has a bunch of professional boxing matches in between those MMA fights, man. What do you know about him other than this kid wants to come out and throw some fists at you?
That's kind of my extent. I mean, I haven't heard anything, in a positive or negative manner about him. All I've ever heard was that he's a gentleman and a nice guy, and that he'll show up. And so, like, to me, it's kind of what I need him for. But I do think he's got some heavy hands. I think he's super, super aggressive, and I think he's going to try to bring this fight at me. I think he's going to come out there and turn this thing into a bar brawl at that point. I think he's going to come out and try to make this an all-out, a war, and that's kind of that would be his best chance in this fight, would be to turn this into some sloppy street fight and hopefully catch me. And so I just got to stay composed, stay calm and collected, and just get the job done.
Well, it's a great card coming up. A lot of familiar faces, a couple of UFC guys that come back to the New England area, getting in some work, man. How excited are you to be on their third card in a row for Joe Cav and Combat FC? I mean, Joe is good friends with Dana. I did see you maybe get a handshake with Dana at the Combat Zone when they had looking for a fight, man. As far as this card and staying busy, how excited are you to get on this card with some familiar faces that you might have trained with or just seen fight coming up in your career?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. There's a lot of good names in this card. They definitely are putting together, one hell of a show. They're bringing Jan Oliveira back. That's pretty awesome. I'm excited to fight the same night as him. Randy Costa's fighting that night. That'll be a lot of fun. Jared St. Jean, former student, trainer partner. I always love seeing him scrapping his AMI debut. Yeah, not debut, but his AMI fights. So I'm excited, man. There's a lot of good names, a lot of good people. And so my thing is locally, not to kind of toot my own horn, but I do pretty well on tickets and a home crowd, and this is right in my backyard. So fighting for them has honestly been the best thing that could have happened. I always hoped that a promotion would come back and do some stuff in Lowell or do some stuff in Wilmington, or close enough where like the home crowd is really the home crowd, and they've done it. And so for me, I love being over there. it's a 20-minute ride from my house. You know, like I'm going back to the gym to hang out after the fights. Like
Yeah.
it's, I don't know, it's different. You know, I know it's a luxury I won't have forever in this sport, and so I'm just trying to soak it up while I can. You know, to have all my family, all my friends, like everybody there is pretty cool. And fighting with the bigger names, man, it's an honor, but I also do feel in a respectful level that I am just as big, and if it's not seen yet, it will be. Um, and so, you know, I think when they're in the house that night, they're going to be like, "Damn, this kid does pull a crowd." You know, like, so I'm excited. I'm excited for them to get a feel of what I can bring into a room.
Excellent. Well, my friend, I do imagine you are a bantamweight, but you've been fighting at catch weights because of late notice fights and hard to get your opponents here. Where do you want to sit as far as a weight class? Are you a bantamweight, or you could fight catch weights and featherweights? But where do you want to be? Like if this UFC comes calling,
Yeah,
contender series, something like that. Where is your weight class? Where you want to be?
I'm a bantamweight.
All right.
All day. Yeah, I'm a 35er. You know, I'm 5'7". I'm not super tall. You know, the cut to 140. You know, obviously cutting isn't fun, but it's not terrible. I've definitely dialed it in a lot better. I work with Brendan Marat quite a bit. He owns like a small cafe, and they do all my meal prep stuff, and they're awesome. And like making the jump to him and like getting the meals and getting all my stuff covered and like really dialing in has kind of changed all that. Where before, you know, the start of my career, there were times, you know, trying to make 45, I was in a struggle, and I'm not that big. I just didn't know, you know, kind of how to cut weight, and I was still young and in my amateur days. Where now I'm eating up until the day before weigh-ins. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty cool. You know, I'm having like full meals, and you know, I will say the last time I fought, he sends me this, you know, 10, 12 meals for the week of the fight. And I'm like, buddy, I can't eat any of these. You know, like, what are you doing? And he's like, listen, you have to trust me. He's like, you know, you have to just listen to me and trust. And I was like, all right, fine. And in my head, I was like, this man's going to make me sit in the sauna for an extra 8 hours for all this food he wants me to eat. And it worked, man. You know, like the weight just kind of fell off and kept dropping off, and I was eating and I felt good and healthy. And you know, so even right now, I mean, we're what, 4 days out from
Yeah.
weigh-ins, and I'm probably sitting at like, say, 6, 7 pounds, if that. You know, and I'm not dying, I'm not hurting, I'm feeling pretty good. You know, so it's like if I would say right now I could make weight tonight. You
Excellent.
know, yeah, it'd be a little bit miserable, but I could be there tonight. You know, so to have 4 days to do that is a blessing. You know.
Excellent. Well, a couple more questions about fighting and all that. As far as training partners, I know you're very loyal to your teams. Is there anything you added, and who are your main training partners and camps that you're getting all your work from?
Yeah, so I mean, it's everything's kind of starting to fall right into place. My school is becoming more and more competitive with the guys, and so we have 3 people fighting this month, which is pretty cool. So we're all in camp together, good, and getting like really good work. Uh, as far as like who's in my camp and training and stuff like that, I've always been under Brian Caldwell and John Howard since the start of my career. Since you and I started talking, Brian's been my jiu-jitsu coach, Doom's been my MMA coach. And they're still around and still current. I trained with Dooms yesterday. I'll be training with Brian tomorrow, you know, pretty regularly. But on top of it, man, you know, Sean Graham from FAF, I'm down there all the time getting work in. Nate from Burgess, I'm up there with all the Burgess guys, Mike Bazanson, Taco, you know, like all the killers up there getting a ton of work. And then in my room, man, like even though these guys are in me, I got some tough studs in there that are giving some good rounds and good work. I got guys who were NCAA qualifiers coming back to start wrestling. I got, you know, Jake Ferry on the mats. I got Ryan Wacker on the mats. I got Melissa Santos, Amanda Ferreira. You know, like I have people that are active and really looking to make a statement this year. And so it's kind of cool, man. We're all doing the same thing, but a little bit different, you know. And so there was definitely a worry and a lot of conversation about owning a school and opening a school and not being able to train and having to be, you know, coaching all the time and all that. And so, not that I changed the business model, but I just pressed through the way I thought it should go. And so now I have brought in Sean Graham to coach at my school. I've brought in Brian Caldwell to coach at my school. I have Larry Coots. I have Roberto. I have Chris Frediani. I have all these guys that are coming down that are coaching at my school. I'd go to their classes anyways if it was at their school. So now it's almost like I just beat the system. You know, I get to oversee and kind of run the program, but I trust all them as my coaches and you know, training partners. So it's feeling good, man. I'm really dialing in. I also kind of a big addition that I think is going to kind of make a lot of changes. I brought in a performance coach. You know, my buddy CPK has, dude, it's like, I mean, I don't even know how to explain him. He's a fucking wizard, right? He comes in, this man breaks down the entire UFC PI's handbook that they went through. And he rips through the entire thing. He's pulling facts, statistics, printing stuff out. You name it, that man is on top of it. And so having him added to the mix, having Coach Sean with all my mitt work, I really feel dialed in. I definitely feel like my game has evolved tremendously. And then even after this camp, I started doing I started a lot more Muay Thai, a lot more boxing, and I'm going to kind of keep pressing with a lot of that stuff. I'd love to maybe take a Thai fight at some point. I'm in the talk right now with a Thailand trip and some other things to get some good training in. So I definitely I'm getting older. I feel like I'm dialing in a little bit better. Things are moving a little bit smoother, and I got a lot less to worry about now. My focus is pretty much on fighting, the gym, and my family, and that's I kind of put everything else aside, and I think it's kind of my time to make a run.
There you go, my friend. And you will also giving back on the coaching side, which you mentioned some fighters going to be making their way to the cage. I know you have been in that corner, giving directions to some fighters that you train with and getting ready for their own careers. Do you get more nervous watching your fighters that you help through a training camp and then you coach? Do you get more nervous for their fights or your fights?
Oh, I hate coaching their fights. I hate it. It's so stressful, man. If I'm in there, it's on me. Win, lose, or draw, I can walk out. I can be okay. I can deal with it. When they're in there, man, I feel the weight of the world, And it's sad, too, because I could care less if they ever win a fight or, lose the fight. None of that matters to me. I go in there and I try to do the best I can because I really care and I love them. But still, obviously I want to give them the opportunity and the tools they need to be successful. And so it's those moments are brutal, man. I was telling the guys at Combat FC, any promotion that's asked me, I tell them all the time, I am not going to fight the same night as one of these guys. It's too much.
Yeah, I can imagine.
No way.
I can imagine. Last thing here before I let you give you a shout out to stuff. Jake, this is going to be your third time jumping in there for Combat FC Fight Pass. You got 3 quick finishes in your first 3 professional fights, man. What do we expect to see from you on June 16th at Combat FC 4, man?
I think you can expect to see me keep moving, keep going forward, picking up another win and just trying to, add another notch on my belt for my career. I definitely am pretty dialed in right now. I don't know if we're going to see a quick submission finish, but I do think we're going to see quite a quick finish. I think I'm a little bit more malicious at this point than I've been in my career previously. I think I'm a little bit more, how do I put this? I don't want to say articulate because that's not the word, but my intent is very high. Everything that I'm throwing has a really, really high intent. And there's a rhyme and reason behind all of it right now. And so I definitely think people are going to see a whole new level to what I am in my game. And so if this ends too quick for me to show it, then I'm excited to step back in there and let everybody know. But there's definitely a whole new fighter kind of coming to play at this point. So I'm pumped, man. I think everyone's gonna watch me go in there that first round, and then we're gonna go get some drinks. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm bringing fireworks. I am coming with everything I have for this gentleman, and like I say all the time, I happily shake his hand. Nothing but love and respect. I got nothing personal. He's probably a great person, but we got a job to do and I'm gonna do mine a lot better.
Excellent, my man. Excellent, bro. Well, awesome catching up with you, bro. It's been a little while. I'm going to be there Friday night. It's going to be my first time going to Combat FC, so I'm excited to see what they got in store there. But until then, man, have a great rest of the training camp. You got just 2 or 3 more days before weigh-ins. We'll be watching those and checking out all the festivities there. So last thing, my friend, I'll shout out sponsors. Thank you, social media, anything you want to say, and I'll let you get back to your day and getting ready for this big fight on Friday night.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, so social media is nice and easy. It should just be Jake the Gorilla for my personal page, and the gym is going to be Gorilla Crew Fitness. As far as shout outs, man, I always like to shout out my mom, dad, and little brother, my girl, my little one, my whole family and friends, my coaches, my teammates, everybody that's behind me. There's not a thing in this world I could do without their support and without them here. And so I definitely got to shout them out to all my friends, the fans, the people coming down looking for a good show. I really hope to put on for you guys. And stay tuned. There's some big things coming this year.
Excellent, my man. It's just the middle of the year, bro. There's a lot left to go, so we can't wait to
Oh
see
yeah.
what's next for you. With that said, man, happy belated birthday. I know you had a
Thank
birthday
you.
a
Thank
couple
you.
of days ago. The stands are going to be full of green and candles glowing on Friday night. So you have a good time, man. Have a great celebration Friday. I'll see you there, and I can't wait to see you working there, my friend.
Sounds good, my man. Looking forward to it.
All right, you have a good week.
You too.